certain circumstances, how ordinary people would react in these really weird circumstances. A lot of my characters tend to be fairly ordinary people in journalists, cops, whatever. That sounds like a terrible 70s TV show, but I mean, the way you do it, you do make it more realistic when you see the 70s TV show. And see how they react when they're suddenly flung into the deep end with sort of aliens and God knows what else, and they're realistically than normal. I mean, yeah, yeah. So they always tend to be sometimes based on people I know, sometimes just based on general rough working knowledge of psychology, that sort of thing, or based on my own reactions, or how I think I would react, or how I'd like to react, or in whatever situation. They say, a lot of writing courses and stuff, they say, write only what you know. And the problem with that is that if you only wrote for your own experience, there'd be no such thing as sci-fi, there'd be no such thing as historical fiction, because like nobody writing today was alive 300 years ago, you know? And so on and so forth. I think that it's more a modification. You write what you know about, or you write what you feel, not just write what you've done. But you decolour that. I mean, if you're doing say an episode of Andromeda, going back to that, and you're having Nietzscheans, these are genetically engineered sort of supermen who are really hostile, fighting Captain Dylan Hunt. Say you're writing to the viewpoint of a Nietzschean character, you sit there and you think, well, okay, I know how I think or feel in a punch up. How can I modify that to imagine how would I be more confident if I was like genetically engineered, etc., to be stronger or whatever? And then that's how you write that character. Well, that's one way of writing that character. So it does all come down to, you know, basic human condition, yeah. I don't know if it counts as a science fiction fantasy, and I don't know if it counts technically as a show because it's movies, but I'd love to write a screenplay for the Bond film. I'm a huge Bond fan, and I would just love to write a screenplay for the Bond film. I mean, I could definitely do a better Bond script than like License to Kill or something, or View to Kill or anything. You know, some of them are really crap. I'd love to do something like that. TV-wise, I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. It might be interesting to do a Buffy. I've just started getting into that. I've only seen season 1, but already I think it would be interesting to do. I'll just concentrate. The one I'd like to have written for, I mean, the one I'd like to have been an adult and writer at the time when it was on is Blake 7. Or possibly the Avengers. I'd love to have written for one of those two. Probably more Blake 7 because Avon's just so cool. I'd love to write those of the Avon useless. And then you.
If you had to invent a character for yourself, who would you
What to represent me in a story?
Any character that you feel that you would want to write about, and what's your chance?
I don't know, I've already done that character, and he's coming back in the audio CD, DVD. Name's Guy de Carmack, and he appeared in the third book, Sanctuary. But I never quite, because it was in the Doctor Who thing, there's certain ways you can't go in Doctor Who, because you're restricted. It's a wide and varied format, but there's still certain restrictions. But he is now going to appear outside the Doctor Who in his own thing, and that's really what I want to do. Well, I don't know how well building companies' negotiations have gone yet about the bastard, but we have been talking about getting Stephen Pacey to play that. But we'll have to wait and see whether he says yes or what. I don't know. I think he's sort of part what I am, part what I'd like to be, and part what I'd be afraid to be in life. Really, that's what he is.
What about the Master?
Oh, the Master.
The Master.
Well, I've done him as well. I mean, so it's been there. I've done that. Oh yeah. I did describe the new version, the new incarnation of the Master as dressed in the white hourglass for a flashing night out, yeah. So that way I can do that at a convention and nobody can say, you sad actor, you're dressing like the Master. I can say, no, the Master dresses like me. Now, how many other people at conventions can say that? You were James Elroy. I love that kind of thing. Yeah. I love James Elroy, and I love true crime things. Nick Pileggi's books, Casino and Goodfellas. Authors I particularly like Terry Pratchett, David Eddings, who has certain drawbacks, but I just love the interplay between the characters in his books. The dialogue. He's got great ear for dialogue. Dean Koontz. Who else? They're like the main ones, I should say. There are various others. If I went further than that, there'd be just too many others to really mention. But that's the sort of thing that I like.
Thank you.
I'm afraid I was a bit late, so I don't know if this might have been talked about before, but I heard rumours that Doctor Who is actually going to be brought back to television as a series. Is it true? And if it is, will you actually be writing for the television series?
Well, as for whether Doctor Who will be brought back as a TV series, it's like, I've heard this bedtime story many times since 1989. I'll believe it when I see it. There was a couple of years ago, what happened was when Russell Davies wrote the first Queer Folk series, he had written a Doctor Who New Adventure, and he also wrote the children's fantasy serials Century Falls and Dark Season, which you might remember as Jackie Pearson. And the Beeb wanted to poach him to Channel 4, so they went and said, we will let you write anything you want if you'll come to us. And he said, Doctor Who 2000. And they went, ah. And basically what's happening is they keep telling him, well, we're thinking about it and we'll mail you later and stuff like that. But because the Beeb's been split up into various independent companies now, you've got BBC Television, you've got BBC Worldwide, you've got BBC Films and so on. They also keep trying to interest Hollywood in doing a movie, which will probably also never happen because the Beeb didn't want to spend enough money for Hollywood to be interested, or even for Hollywood to be able to make a decent product. And there is that, the thing that, we're still in negotiations for a movie and we didn't want a movie and TV show to compete. And there is that excuse to not let a TV show happen either. And that's the answer. As for whether I'd be writing for it, I don't know. They'd have to decide that they actually want a series first before they decided who they want to write for it. I'd be flattered if they asked. I would do it if they asked. Anybody else? I've got somebody else.
Universe.
Well, all that stuff's already public knowledge anyway. They've made a website. Yeah. I did have a couple of pages in notes and stuff when I wrote the pitch, which I took the influence on and read it and tried to interest people there. But now they've put all that stuff, all that background stuff, the writers' Bibles and stuff on the websites. Although I imagine because there might be ongoing story arcs or character developments, they will set that if they want to actually do it. Well, they have to, because they've only put that on the public websites for TV spoilers. All the backgrounds are already public knowledge, they've been very good with that. Although, sadly, the software they've used to run the BDS on the website is down. So forget it. Anybody else? I'm here until lunchtime, so it's like something else. It's our job again.
Yes, it's fine. Well, I have a vested interest. How difficult would it be to write, say, Babylon 5 as a children's story?
Some episodes already are.
Yes, they enjoy it.
I don't know, because I've never really written anything that specifically or deliberately intended to be children's fiction. And I'm told that it is actually harder than adult fiction because you have to keep bearing in mind on what, certain things you cannot do or cannot say. But at the same time, you don't want to be talking doom to them because kids hate that.
Oh, yeah.
So I honestly don't know because I have no experience of that whatsoever. So I really don't know the answer to that. Sorry. There you go.
Certain storylines or parts of storylines intercelluloid at any time, or can they get their ideas across?
Yeah, yeah. It's the easiest route for fans wanting to make a sale. Is probably the Doctor Who line, because they will accept unsolicited pitches and submissions. It's not entirely unknown for fans to make sales. I think Robert Wolf's first Next Gen sale was a fan pitch, a spec script that he sent in. So was Ron Moore's. His was a spec script that he sent in. Was that the Bonding, I think, back in season 3 Next Gen. So yeah, it's possible. It's very, very hard though. It doesn't happen very often, but it is possible. It takes such hard work and perseverance. You have to keep trying and trying and trying. But it is possible. Just.
Presumably, what you've done.
Yeah. Well, as far as that site's concerned, I started pitching at DS9.
Yeah.
There's in the world, and several people were always thinking at the same time. But yeah, it's possible to do that. There is a big difference between writing scripts and writing prose. I had said to Robert at the time when I sent in my script that I've had like 10 or 11 books to my name, but writing that 1 hour dramatic script is the hardest thing I've ever done, because the format's so different. And like in a book you can use pages to describe whatever, a new alien race or how somebody thinks or feels or stuff like that, and you cannot do that in a script. You've got like 2 lines of dialogue or something that's got to convey who this person is and what he wants and all that kind of thing. It's so hard, but it's a good challenge, and it's so rewarding, and it's said right when you finish it. I said at Gallifrey one year, I think last year, somebody asked what the experience of writing was like, and most of the other Doctor Who writers were saying, it's a sort of cathartic, artistic thing, and all this sort of pretentious nonsense. And I said, well, it's kind of like sex. It's a bumpy ride and hard work, but what a rush when you finish. And I got black looks for that to some of the others. I think it's because I got a bigger laugh than they did.
Does it take you 3 minutes to write a novel, though? I was thinking from personal experience
there. You can ask that question of Citizens of Car. It normally takes like about 6 months, actually. And then you're only getting to the good parts.
6 like that would be worth it.
Well, how else do I think I managed to hook a Centauri? Anybody else? Especially about me. But if anybody's got any questions at all, just stop me babbling. Or is this the point where I start going, "Old Man River"?
Okay.
Yeah. I'm home to pop there's a shop that I've been telling about somewhere down on the main road down there. Down there. It sells airsoft guns, maybe one for a look to set and hopefully where it will be able to get. That's the one. I've got a bunch. I've got like 3 katanas. I've got the Conan broadsword, very expensive, better one like that, not the cheaper one. Yeah, various pistols, an MP5. I've got the Stargate kettle, and I've got the Beretta and the MP5.
You better say there's a replica.
They're all replicas. I'll be like the real guns. Although I should add that one, the sword was only one of them's live though. I've got the Highlander katana. Again, there's various different versions of that. Means the expensive one is live. I keep being a bit an edge on the Conan sword. I'll get into that as a statement. But yeah, that's true. It's Marley make a lot of airsoft guns, and they lost the license because H&K apparently were disappointed with them for some reason. They've withdrawn the license, so you can't get them now. So you never see people, or unless probably people at GateCon, SG2 the other week probably had MP5s, but I've never seen one. Like, there's a bunch of Stargate fans of Starfury, and they didn't have MP5s. So I finally managed to get one. And the new season comes on, they've changed the guns, and nobody makes the FNP90 as an airsoft.
Good news. Marui's bringing it out in 2001.
What, the FNP90?
Yep.
Yes! I shall get one of
I
them.
would point out that it's not very long before the government bans those sort of airsoft weapons so totally.
I shall believe that when I see it, because I've seen demands for that legislation on and off for a few years, and I don't think it will come through. And I think the reason
I think
why...
they're serious this time. It's got
Oh, because the problem with it is, you ban them, right? First off, who's going to hand? I'm not going to hand back any, right? Stop that. Second off, right, let's say you're a criminal. Let's say they're saying, oh, we've got to ban these because people can scare people to death, getting muggings while carrying one of these. Let's say you're a criminal. You think, right, the best can ban real ones and replica ones too. Well, if I'm going to go to jail anyway, will I waste my time getting a fake one, which if somebody resists, they can beat me up and I can't do anything? Or will I just be as well to be hung for a street as for a lamb and get a real one?
Unfortunately, quite a bit of reenacting and that there was somebody standing up in the columns and complaining about an advert he'd seen for somebody who was offering a two-handed broadsword. And I said, well, who's going to have this except a collector or a reenactor? You know, he wanted this kind of advert banned. You know, the fighting knives thing as well.
That's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
I mean, the problem is, you want to ban something that you can kill somebody with. How far do you go? You're going to have to shut down home base. City kitchen knives. No. I'm sorry. You see a lot of people get mugged or injured with kitchen knives, Stanley knives, that kind of thing. All bought in your local hardware store. All necessary, or steak knives. All necessary household implements. How many times do you see somebody mugged with a broadsword?
I
And to be honest, that's it.
Somebody fight off a bugger with battle axe.
I said, when there was that sword attack in the church, and then the attack on that Lib Dem MP, I said, I bet they'll try and ban swords now. I'm glad I've got some before they did it. Absolutely, I would not hand back. If they banned either airsoft guns or, and I just got myself a nice gas-powered Beretta that's full semi-auto, or swords, absolutely I would not hand them back. Sort off.
What flavour cake do you want?
File flavor.
Oh, no, can't be
Sorry,
fire,
no,
they're dangerous.
I'd rather emigrate if you all stay in genius camps and go to America where they'll be.
Yeah, I think
You can come with me.
go with them. But this something in the cracking down, and the last I heard, so that's still not.
Well, cracking down is different
to
than
say, for instance, say, suddenly put serious sort of licensing even on the black powder people.
Yeah.
As if you could go out and mass murder people.
Cracking down is different if they ban it all together.
I
mean, last I heard was they wanted to bring in the necessity for licenses for like gas guns and stuff.
Yeah.
To which I'd say, well, tough, I'm not bothered. I have no intention of going. I mean, you couldn't kill anybody with a thing anyway.
Yeah, some of the airsoft.
Well, not the one drafted.
But some of the airsoft ones out nowadays would certainly cause the
Oh, if there's somebody's eye, no problem. But you couldn't kill somebody with it. If I wanted to kill somebody, I'd get a katana.
I know that you write Doctor Who,
Yeah.
you write science fiction.
Yeah.
Do you write any other genre?
Yeah. I mean, the PCD for BBB, which is not an intentional thing. It's just that's how they work out. It's basically just a historical thing. There's a sort of early X-Files area. It could be a sci-fi thing, or it might not. You know, you don't know really. Basically, it's a historical thing, and the TV movie script is a straightforward crime thriller with the Russian mafia. So it's a straight sort of gritty crime thing. So that's a different genre again.
You know, to stand a chance of being a successful writer, you have to be able to write in several different genres.
Oh, absolutely. But I mean, writing is writing.
Yeah.
If you can tell a good story, it doesn't matter what genre you're in. I've never considered myself a sci-fi writer. I consider myself an action and thriller writer. You know, if people say to me, do you want to be the next Ian Banks or whoever, I say, no, I'd rather be the next Alistair MacLean. Because I consider myself an action and thriller writer. It just happens that the books that I've published so far have been published under a name label, namely Doctor Who, which happens to be sci-fi. But there are a lot of writers out there who are much better, SF writers than I am, or much better fantasy writers than I am. So I don't really consider myself bound by any particular genre. I'd love to write a spaghetti western type thing as well. The weird thing is, I don't like western books because they're all the same and they're terrible usually, but with one or two exceptions. But I love western movies, and I'd love to write a book that's basically got the same air as a spaghetti western, just for fun. Anybody? No, it's just the way I walk.
Do you get
I'm a fairly famous sci-fi and fantasy cover artist, and I did the pencils. And I drew the pencils and said I want this, and he basically went and painted the thing. I didn't think they were doing it that way, because I did the pencils and sent them to the publishers and said, whatever artist you get, I want something like this, and they handled that. Then, somewhat diabolically, another book, The Dark Path, which I had said, Alistair Pearson was doing the cover. He's great at doing likenesses of the actors, but he's not so good at making up like creatures and aliens and things. So I said, when it comes time to commission the cover, let me know, and I will do the pencils for the alien, and then you can paint it. And that's what he wanted as well, because I talked to him on the phone, and he was happy with that day, because he's relieved nobody else to make the thing up. But then I got a phone call a couple of months later to the editor saying, oh, by the way, we've had the finished cover art, and of course he'd done this ridiculous looking thing because he isn't very good at doing aliens. And I was like, you were supposed to tell me when it was getting commissioned so I could do the pencils. And I was really disappointed with that. I refused to work with that editor again. The current one, it's a bit early for thinking of a cover illustration for Night Sky, but I have a sort of vague idea of what I want for that one. And in the case of bullet time, I've been very specific. I was mailing them this past week saying I very specifically want this on the image, on the cover. And basically what I want in the cover of bullet time is I want, how do I describe it? I want it to be like a reflection of Sarah Jane Smith in a shattered mirror, a really splintered shattered mirror. Just because I think that'll be quite sort of stark and really impressive, hopefully. So yeah, you get various degrees into the cover, depending on how much input you want to actually take.
And if you could have one piece of future technology on science fiction,
oh God, that's a hard one. Just one? The Millennium Falcon.
The Millennium Falcon. Where are we going to keep it?
In orbit.
How are you going to get to it?
Alright, maybe I should train that for playing on Bird of Prey, because then I could cloak it and land it. Or even do.
The field at the back of our garden.
I wouldn't want transporter, because the whole thing with transporter is it doesn't actually transport you, it copies you. Like, you get disassembled and a copy of you is assembled at the far end. The problem is, anybody ever tried copying a videotape? You do that 3 or 4 times and you see what happens as bars across it and colour. Do you want that happening to your DNA?
It's worse and worse.
No, absolutely not. So I would not want to transport. I want the Millennium Falcon. If I could have any piece of sort of sci-fi technology, give me the Falcon.
There's a pile of junk.
That's fine, the Falcon jump in the galaxy.
Keep breaking down.
So you only have to hit it and it starts up again.
Because I suppose technically there's like many different pieces of technology in the Falcon. It would have to be just one. If there has to be one. I don't really know. I mean, for a specific single thing.
How about no Gasmatron?
Eh?
He's got
I've already got one.
Does be there.
I don't know. The problem is if it was a weapon of Gaza, and that would be a bad idea. Go on hand piece, you know.
Mass driver.
Mass driver. So, lightsaber. Obviously. I think I settled for the fault in that being my favourite choice, even if it is technically an one piece of technology.
Even if it's just broken down.
Yeah, but it's just great. It's just such a cool ship, and one person can fly it. I mean, it's not like a Star Destroyer, which is also really cool, but you need a big crew. Falcon, you just need you. And a co-pilot's cool, but you can fly it on your own.
After a full system.
Yeah. Hey. More questions. I demand more questions.
Do you find that people take the task about the laws of physics and the stories that are wrong? Do you do things that they say, oh, we can't do that because?
Sometimes you do. I mean, to be honest, when it's something like a shared world, like or a shared setting, like Doctor Who or Star Trek or whatever, right? It automatically comes with a baggage faster than light travel, time travel, whatever. So you try not to, you can't really do anything about that, you're stuck there. But in other ways, if I'm inventing any new technology, I try to take the laws of physics into consideration. I mean, I have a decent scientific education to do that. But so you try to merge it. You've got the completely fantastical, warp drives and stuff at one end, and you've got hard science at the other end, and you try to sort of blend them together. So you start making the hard science slightly more iffy, and then you start making the fantasy stuff a bit harder until they meet somewhere in the middle. Or sometimes what I will do is I will do deliberate scientific jokes. I think in one of my books there's a point where the Doctor's dismantling like a warp drive or something. He's going, yes, this is the only modular thrombosis generator. And all this techno babble, and he goes, yes, this is the Minkowski generator and stuff like that. Which the Minkowski generator really exists, but it's a mathematical formula, not a piece of hardware. And this is just a joke, I did get one complaint to one book where I was put in a point where in the 1930s this character runs a nightclub, and he's listening to all his customers because the tables are all monitored by closed circuit radio. And I got somebody complain about that because they're just too anal retentive to figure that this is a joke. It's CCTV, closed circuit radio. I know there's no such thing. I mean, the book was kind of written off the shadow anyway, because it's called Shadow of Wang Chiang. It was just the line, closed circuit radio. I just thought that was quite funny, and I didn't think there'd be anybody stupid enough to take it seriously.
It's almost as good as the Green Lantern comic book where the villain's using light rays in the infra-yellow. Kid you not.
I like that kind of thing. There's a big difference, you see, between getting the science wrong. There are three ways of getting science wrong. There's getting the science wrong because you haven't done the research and you can any better, and that's to be avoided. There's getting the science wrong because you're kind of stuck with it in the setting of the world that you're writing in, which you do kind of get stuck with and doesn't start writing that. And then there's getting the science wrong deliberately because it's part of the fun and you want to have a gag. So there are all these different permutations.
How do you handle literary criticism? Do you come across much of it?
Well, as I say, I have these swords with guns. I don't actually come across that much in general. I come across it to the same few people all the time. A certain magazine, for example.
They dislike you for some reason.
No, there is a reason for that. Eventually there's a reason for that. They kept saying that there was no reason, it was just coincidence, so I gave them a reason. Which I cannot tell you, these kids in the room. I've already let the F word slip once, I'm not doing it again. Or the other words.
Well, actually a bit more than once, so we're working.
It's after a drink so that you can tell the story.
Oh yeah, it's definitely for later at night.
What are you drinking?
Eh?
What are you drinking?
Cardiff Breezers or red squares?
Well, basically nearly anything. Bacardi Breezers, Red Squares, neat Southern Comfort.
Alcohol-based.
How are we going to get a mild paving slabs through that bloody door?
Right, anything except Guinness or Malachy. Or Miller, because that's crap.
I'll agree.
I think Budweiser's okay, but Miller. What was the question again? Oh,
The story.
Critics, your favourite.
Yes,
Critics.
No, seriously.
Critics and how you would like to disembowel them.
I don't mind constructive criticism. I don't mind constructive criticism. You know, things that people say, well, this story didn't work because, or if somebody says, well, your characterisation is a bit weak in this way, well, that's okay. I'll always take notice of that. If people have a reasonable comment to make, I'll always take notice of that. But when you get people like reviewers on the internet who just say, oh, McIntee's work is childish crap, and I don't look forward to having to buy his next book, and they say that in Doctor Who because they actually will buy everything with the Doctor Who name on it, and they would rather you were banned for writing than simply not buy your next one.
I think it's sort of funny at this moment that children believe in just when you get onto this subject.
Alright. Last year, right, when Autumn Mist came in, TV Zone went and printed the main twist in the tale, like straight off in the review. They do that all the time, this TV Zone. And I took exception to this, and so I slagged them off a bit. And so they posted to the Doctor Who news group in a public forum and posted the spoilers there in the subject heading. And I really took exception to this. So I mailed Lee Bindon, who's the editor of TV Zone, and said basically, you are an unprofessional showery cunt. Don't ever speak to me again. I am like kill filing your email address, so even if you send me any mails, I won't get them. And that was that. And then when it came to review Delta Quadrant, who should decide to do the review himself but Lee Bindon? Now, I think even if you hate my books, even if you've read my books and think, oh, this isn't very good, I only bother buying them again, you've got to admit, that's not a professional writing on a magazine.
No.
That's it with the seal.
And so I'm like, no, that's, TV Zone are just beyond the pale.
Incredibly obscure.
Oh, that's the same feature. I do occasionally get complaints from people saying, no, I've put in too much anarchism. But I tend not to get complaints that I've got it wrong, because I tend not to get it wrong. Because I do sort of look things up to make sure I'm getting it right. Or in the case of these students. I mean, they can't even keep continuity in the same scene. In Vital Chaotica, there's a point where Valana says we don't have any access to the holodeck. The whole episode's about people going in and do the holodeck. Please.
But only people with badges.
Eh?
Only people with the right badge, obviously.
Yeah.
It's a private car.
Private holiday.
I still haven't got the hang of the stars streaking off the window when there's a person travelling at warp speed.
Yeah.
It's a screensaver.
Well, it's because it's very the thing that gets me about the holodeck in Star Trek, well, there are two things that get me. First, how come the company that makes it has to be putting business for wrongful death lawsuits? It's always Breton doing. That company would not exist anymore. They'd get their asses sued off. And the second thing is, you seriously tell me that they've invented this new technology, this sort of real surround sound, artificial reality environment, and they haven't done a variation on Doom or Quake for it? Please! How realistic is that?
They have, but ID haven't nailed it down yet.
I want to see an episode where Harry Kim comes with a holodeck with a long coat and the matchstick in his face and a gun in each hand.
We have done a version of the holodeck Quake. It's Warp's exercise program.
No. There was no gunfire. There was no shotguns in that.
Or rocket launchers.
Or rocket launchers.
Real men used edged weapons. Yeah, Jesus.
Or flamethrowers. Freeze rays.
I actually like the
Shrink rays.
Rocket launcher's fun. Rocket launcher's fun, but there's just something There's just something primal about using the complex and shotgun. I think it's the
Well, there was a fistful of faces.
I don't know if that really counts.
That was the Lucas film. One of the PC format review said it's cracked with no rocket launchers. It's set in the Wild West.
Well, there are all sorts of nice weapons in it. I don't think they would have got any fit shotguns in it, but apparently they haven't in the end.
No, there's no shotguns.
The beta version had shotguns.
It's very damaged cars than the battlements on the multiplayer version.
Oh.
It's definitely set in the castle. And you're running around shooting phaser rounds.
Yes, but the guards have phaser rifles.
Yeah.
You got this fuck off big medieval castle, and the guards have got like tinats and phaser rifles.
I do like some of the modifications that people advocate for doing the play in Disney and stuff like that. I did some myself. There's a lovely Dalek conversion for play. It's wonderful.
Dalek version.
The Dalek version's so cool.
You get
there's a Blake 7 version, but that isn't I keep meaning today, the ultimate oh, the alien one. I was working until my hard drive when the other machine crashed on doing a Star Trek related, or a sci-fi related one. But what it would be like the opponents would be Star Trek characters, the aliens and stuff. The settings would be inspired with the other sci-fi shows. So you talk like the Cybermen or the Borg and stuff like that. But I was going to put the little face at the bottom of your player as being Garibaldi, and all the weapons would be like TPGs and stuff. So I just thought that would be funny and lighting up the Freddy's like nothing else. I have that kind of mind. Oh yeah, all the people crucified on the walls for all the red shots. Oh, but it looked so cool when you saw them, like nailed upside down.
They're all impaled. You need a special kind of mind to like that sort of thing.
No, the special, no, there won't be in a minute. The special kind of mind playing came when we were discussing Highlander on the news.
Oh God.
And I said that I've got this theory about this thing with the immortality, they can only die when they're cut off the decapitation. I was like, alright, how far along the spinal column does it have to go? And I was saying like, first off I said, well, the whole immortality thing's cool. This means you could do like fantasy things like the Blood Eagle, which never actually existed, but you could take it in them off because you could keep them nailed up alive with the ribs separated with the spine spread out for centuries having fun. But then the other thing I said is, with regard to decapitation, if you put him into a giant mincer, feet first, how far up does it have to go before he's finally dead? And somebody said in response to that post, Dave, you have to have a special kind of mind to think this.
Well, it's the same with impalement, isn't it? I mean, put somebody on a long enough stake, and it will knock the head off eventually.
That's a special kind of mind.
Inquiring minds need to know these things.
Well, the opposite is also true. Like if you start like picking the pendulum or something, or if you get like, you know one of them bacon slicing machines in the butchers, and you sit them in the like crown first, how far down does it have to go before?
Over the Chinese said that you could get up to the top of the thigh on the first being part of the slices.
No.
The embarrassing or annoying or whatever it is.
What's your most embarrassing moment in life?
I don't know. I haven't had too many really embarrassing moments. Oh no, yeah, oh god, yeah. I was on stage in LA and there was this guy, it's kind of actually sad. I was trying to I was trying to do sort of almost a Billy Connolly thing, you can check on the head with the bike and stuff. There was this guy in the front row, he was sitting there like a zombie, and I thought, this guy is asleep. He's obviously coming here, because it was only like 10 minutes before we finished. This guy's coming here to wait for the next time it's on. So I'm like, well, somebody wake up that guy, and this woman at the bike starts trying to say something. I'm like, no, when my light goes, it's my turn, and when this light goes off and the big light's on, it's your turn. It's really Connolly thing. And eventually it turned out the reason why the guy looked the way he did is because he was blind. Oh. And the woman had been trying to tell me this. that's been the most embarrassing moment, I think. I can't think anything else that's particularly more embarrassing. No, that wasn't really embarrassing, that was kind of irritating. Slept on her flare the first time we went down to visit her. And landing on a plate of salmon that's put in for the cats. Like shattered under me. It was a real Jackie Chan moment because I'm like horizontal at the end of 30 seconds, zero gravity, and then bang. And I land there. And it breaks and takes some chunks at me. And I have.
Oh God, you know.
Did Jeremy Beadle get the tape? And then I'm in getting all stitched up, and they didn't think that what do you call it? Tetanus was necessary, but I insisted on getting one anyway because I couldn't imagine I had the last chance to see the day anyway. And they said, right, do you want stitches? And I said, well, is it necessary I will heal without them? And they said, well, I'll heal without them, but if I put stitches in, the scars will be smaller. And so I said, forgetting that it's not a room with walls, it's just curtained off, quite loudly, well, in that case, didn't bother, because nobody's going to see it, and basically there are going to be other people out there with more important things that need attended to in my arse. when they got to put the tetanus jab in there, the needle broke, so you just can't get it from the skin. And then when I had got back, and like was explaining this to my mum and dad, because this was before I moved in with her, I'd just been visiting the weekend. And I was saying we didn't want to worry you before me because obviously I'm alright, so we didn't, just kept it until I was fine. And my mum finally tried to figure out, wait a minute, how did you manage that without getting any holes or blood in your dream?
Oh. And you still on the stuff.
Yeah, the only problem is
it's a
mildly amusing story, but it's not terribly exciting. If ever anybody asks if I'm in like the swimming pool changing rooms or something, anybody asks what the scar came to, I'll have to tell them something they're interested in. Shark bite. I'd like to get some.
That's somebody's building scar. It's only 2/3 scar.
Well, we had an idea of we would build a fiberglass stargate or something. We carted up somewhere in the Welsh Mountains on the back of it. And we found a remote stone circle.
You're trying to see this.
We live with answer phone message. So
oh God, yeah, you can stick an answer phone under the DHD. Have some people have it in West, answer phone. Some occupants of this planet are always too busy to answer.
That'd be rather from the camera show, you set it all up, you put it in there, and run away and hide from the cameras and see what happens.
When you picked up your rescue tablets, where'd you get it from? The guy I know who tried to get one, got the police coming round.
No, sadly that one I only got. I've got like the combat trousers and I've got an ice cream jacket.
Does anyone want a holster for a gun if they weren't a terrorist?
Because I don't like physics.
That's just nerve control.
Either that or if the cops come in, they answer the door and say, yes, comrade.
yes, because I'm on file somewhere with you through.
Well, oh God, yeah, I went to Staff Fury in March, and I'm wearing the Psychop uniform. Sam Brown and everything. And you'll probably see it in the morning. This is a Heathrow. And we're in the alternate. I tell you, we're fine with it, a mile and a half. And basically, like Saturday to Sunday, I'm basically this way. Not intentionally the first time, but when I got away with it intentionally the rest of the time. with the silver replica of my crystal on my belt. And nobody batted an eye. Nobody bothered.
The doorman at the house, somebody just walked straight past me, good evening.
And we think they must have gone some kind of uniform. He must be entitled.
I knew someone who got away with screaming because he was wearing a combat jacket going around Dolphins and falling more. They just sort of took one look and said, "Oh, sorry, Corporal, off we go."
What do you think is fake ID?
Well, I have really hoped actually that we might come across a couple of cops, preferably one who knew the show and one who didn't. And like the one who did, the one who did just say, "Oh, it's all right," to the sideboard. Because that'd be fun.
Gives a blank look and says, "You may go on your way."
In terms of cyclists, I'm kind of. So I play in a policeman, the policeman who actually goes to the band was not me, it was the ambassador. We go to Eastern Park, and the train station is totally fucking up the bottom of my tickets, and the last train not running. And the woman that I was trying to get a replacement ticket from being totally obnoxious to, still the effect that I said, "Oh, sorry, I'll come back the next morning." Came up the next morning, somewhat hungover from the pond, still dressed in this. Personal, you know. Tried to get another ticket, and they weren't having any, but they were rude again to me. And I was just going to say, "Oh, well, sod you, then leave it." And I was just about to say, "Well, you know, this is bloody disgusting, that's it, I'm going." Blondo took over. I demand that you see your superior. Sorry, ma'am, I am not a madam, I am a passenger. I stand here until you give me another ticket. And so, well, in that case, you may call the authorities. Would you like me to call the police? Yes, do it. My poor friend standing at the back of me, my one-time here, is actually having hysterics by this. Kittens, you know, with various colours. The whole rainbow of kittens. And I'm going on and on in Rondo, and a bit of my brain is saying, excuse me. I mean, if the West comes out, you haven't got 50 quid in your pocket to bail yourself out. The policeman comes to give him his due. He acted absolutely superbly and professionally. I could see the sort of grin trying to But I'm trying to put across in a Londo costume that I was a helpless female on my own on the station platform at 11 o'clock at night and hear me something that happened to me.
You were attacked by a male hairdresser.
And we eventually settled that I would go away and not destroy the station. It's a bloody good thing they have those glass things, because I wouldn't have thought the ambassador was capable of stopping from bringing the guy across and saying, named Ambassador Malari. Named Ambassador Malari. And I pay him in Centauri. It's almost worth it for the fun of actually paying for the magistrate in the morning. And so finally he said, "Well, okay, you know, we've settled this, we've agreed to differ here," and I agreed to go. So can I just ask you one question? And sort of got to me. Did you vote Tory at the last election? I went, "No, I voted for the National Front." I'm a librarian.
Yes, there's something else I was going to say. I know one time that we were going on the train between Ayers to Armadacon. And it was quite packed, and we were standing. The machines that you get the tickets that you were shut. Sorry, this is the last one. And we didn't have tickets. We were supposed to buy them on the train. And we were standing in the last carriage, and the guard's door is here. And I'm standing here and she's standing in front of me. We're practically walking the aisle. And he comes up and he's looking at everybody for tickets. And he sort of looks at us, or looks at me as if he's not sure. And then keeps going. And never answers. And then he comes back and goes up and doing 2 or 3 other fights. Never noticed. This is performance says you need planning permission, you know, you need planning permission to have a second dish because you've already got one. I was like, well, the dish that's already up there belongs to the owners of the house, because they rent it, and the new dish belongs to us. He says, "You know that you need planning permission to put up this dish, and I can't put it up unless it's planning permission." And I was like, "It'll be alright." You can put up the dish on that side of the house, you know, so that if anybody looks, it looks like it's next door. But yeah, I'll just get on with putting up the dish.